one of your exciting projects is the Museum of Happiness that you started in London, which is a wonderful wonderful thing. I also wonder if you could tell, there was a great kind of origin story that I really enjoyed hearing when I was doing research around your stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so the idea came for the Museum of Happiness came, I was and still am, I was a big fan of the Dalai Lama, so I used to go to his different events in Europe, and he was speaking in Germany, so I thought I'm going to volunteer and join the volunteer team in Germany. So I went off to Germany, and the chief volunteer person said, is there anybody who doesn't understand German? And I was the only person who put my hand up. She's like, okay, I will speak in German. And then she just kind of went into German with all these hundreds of volunteers. So I thought, oh, that's not very compassionate. But anyway, but one girl came up to me and she started translating in my ear. And I thought, oh, that's really nice. So I kind of got to know her. And I'm like, who are you? What do you do? And she said, I work at the Nonseum, the Museum of Nonsense. I'm like, I beg your pardon? There's a museum for nonsense? And she's like, yeah, my dad started it 20 years ago. It's really popular. We get coach loads of people from Vienna coming to this museum of nonsense, and it's brilliant. You should come and check it out. I'm like, wow. And I'd been doing a bit of this thing called laughter yoga, and I was interested in well-being and happiness as well. So I was thinking, oh, wow, you can have a museum for nonsense. And I met with, I had this new friendship with someone in London, and we were thinking of a new project. We're trying to come up with a new project or idea. And so I was thinking of, at first I thought, what about a museum for laughter or something? I thought I was just kind of thinking of kind of silly ideas. And then I saw an advert for a fizzy drink, and it said something like share happiness. And they're drinking this drink, which has got 13 spoons of sugar in it. And they're using the word happiness. And I thought, this is one of the richest companies in the world, one of the best marketing companies in the world. And they're using the word share happiness. What about, I think the only way we can fight these companies is to kind of fight them at their own game. So why don't we use the word happiness as like the top label, but to teach the things that we've been talking about here, actually, ultimately, about mindfulness and compassion, wisdom and all that, and positive psychology. So we thought of the idea of a museum of happiness, but for months, we calculated it would cost £1 million to build such a museum. We didn't have the money. We didn't know how to fundraise. But then someone said, why don't you just do an event? Just call it the Museum of Happiness event, and say you're going to build one day, and just explore the ideas around happiness and do activities. So we did our first event. We invited our friends and friends of friends. We got 30 people. And then the next time, we loved it. So we thought, let's just do events. This is great. So the next event, and we evolved it a bit more. So we had some mindful activities and some more playful activities. And that was the second one. And then we were becoming a bit more clear about our values. And then we had about 50 people. And then someone, I don't know if you know, but there's a famous market in London, Spitalfields Market. And someone had found a slot. So they said, talk to this guy and he'll give you a corner of Spitalfields Market in January, because it's always cold and it's empty. And we knew in the third Monday of January is called Blue Monday in the UK, which is supposed to be the most depressing day of the year. So we thought, oh, why don't we do our Museum of Happiness on what people call the most depressing day of the year? So that was our idea. And so I remember making the Facebook event and linked it to Eventbrite, and I just called the event the world's first pop-up Museum of Happiness, free. That's what I called it. And I just linked it to Eventbrite. And then I was off I think I was in the New Forest or something on holiday just before New Year's Eve. And then I opened my phone and I had literally thousands of new emails. I was like, whoa, what is going on? And so I opened up my phone, and every 30 seconds, someone was registering a ticket for our event. But normally we only had 50 people. So I thought, what is going on? And I looked at the Facebook event, which was just an event. It wasn't a video or anything, just an event. And it had been seen by 1 million people. And my cousins who had never talked to me were starting to contact me and stuff. And somehow it had gone viral, and people's friends and friends and friends had seen it and shared it. And we had literally thousands of people registered for this event, where we were hoping for 100 people. It was approaching 10,000 people. So we stopped selling tickets at that point, because we'd even got a few donations, and we held this event in this market. And we almost ended up on national television. Sky News interviewed us. We had some international newspapers interested, and literally BBC Breakfast, which have like 5 million viewers, were about to come as well, but they decided not to for some reason. So we got all of this media coverage and interest. So what this fizzy drinks company, they're onto something with this word happiness. So yeah, we had this amazing event, and we still talk about it. It was a great day. And following that, we got a space in the back of a cafe, and we started to do volunteer events for that. Then we ended up hiring a homeless, like the bottom floor of a homeless hostel, because they really liked what we did. And so in Camden Town, we had a space for a year where we offered all our classes, and we had a little ball pit there, and we had astroturf with deck chairs inside, and we had all these different classes about mindfulness and gratitude. And so we do a lot of self-compassion classes, actually. And yeah, and now at the moment, because of the current situation, we're doing more digital stuff. We got sponsored by Facebook. That was another kind of bit of an amazing story, in that they were choosing 100 communities from the whole of the world, basically, that they wanted to kind of fund and support, and they chose us as one of the 100. We were like, wow. And so we were flown to America, and we got lots of training from them and funding from them, and they've helped us develop an online course now to keep the organization going. So yeah, that's the Museum of Happiness. So yeah,
that's a wonderful story.
So far.